I have two tattoos on my right arm. If you're watching this, they're right on the side here. And somebody asked me about it recently, and this story always comes to my mind. It's a reminder to me. And both of them symbolize the fog. And this is a story I haven't talked about before in the podcast, but it's been something very personal to me. So there's a video that I saw a while ago from a gentleman about receiving revelation. So the context of this video is religious, but there was an analogy that I thought was so closely related to anything that we do in pursuits of strength, in pursuits of mindset, career, and just general life in there. And when he said, when we speak to God, or we speak to the universe, whatever you want to call it, we call it prayer. But when we receive communication back, it can come in a variety of channels, but we call that revelation. And it comes in numerous ways, but it's similar to patterns of light. So he said the first pattern is like a light that's being turned on in a dark room. It's like a light switch. It's very quick, it's very dramatic, it's very in your face. In those moments, everything changes. Now, if you think of these could be, unfortunately, very traumatic things that pop up, or they could be very huge breakthroughs that come into our life where we work for something, then immediately everything changes. We refer to these moments probably more common than rare in terms of how many days that we're living, in our lives. But the second one is more of a gradual ascension of light. So use this pattern as kind of like a sunrise coming over the horizon, where you can continuously see clearer and clearer as the sun comes up, but you still can't see everything all at once. So it takes time. This, I believe, is a bit more common than it is rare. So specifically when you're aiming for a specific goal, you're working on it step by step. So each day you get a little bit closer, you can see the finish line, you can see the goal clearer and clearer. But it still takes a day by day approach in order to get there. You can't force the sun to come up faster, it needs to come up on its own time. But then there's a third one, and this is the foggy day. And this is where there might be just enough light that you can tell that it's not darkness, it's not night anymore. So it's an approach to take, but you can only see just enough to take a step or two in front. And as soon as I heard this, I said, this feels like most days of my life, where I can see just enough ahead of me, and I want to see faster, I want to see clearer in there, but there's just enough that you can take another step forward. And as soon as I thought that, I remember this like it was yesterday, as soon as I thought that, the gentleman who said this in the video said, this is where most of my days occur. And I started cracking up from there. And this is a man who's a very devout, religious man. Like he's, studied this for a long term, and still with all the practice that he's done, he says, most days still are very foggy. I just have just enough energy, or I can see just enough ahead of me that I can take one step or two. And this is most days, okay? And as I said, I think this is the best analogy that I've seen in strength training, in developing a business, in relationships, just in overall living life. We can see just far enough ahead just to press forward a little bit. And then in a lot of the work of me studying the Tao, a main theme in that is about non-doing. It's about not striving. It's about eliminating desire. And honestly, these terms that they use from translation is a really challenging concept to accept in modern times. I worked in such environments for a long time of pedal to the metal, of work harder. You want to fast track your outcomes. We want to see the results as immediately as possible. And if we don't, that means that we just need to try harder. We need to put more time in. We need to put more work in from there. It can resonate, I'm sure, with so many that are listening to this on this, of how easy it is. But the message of the fog has been a great reminder to me of the truth behind speed. And that's one of the main reasons why I put this on my arm, as a reminder that every day I can see this and be like, okay, if it's not clear ahead of you, that's fine. Just take another step forward.